The consensus ranking on Fantasy Pros is that Kyler Murray is the quarterback 5. He is my quarterback 6. And I looked at the reason why I came to that conclusion, the quarterback 6, are a few reasons. I looked at the matchup, and it isn't a super plus matchup for Kyler Murray. The New Orleans Saints give up the 11th most fantasy points to the quarterback position from the passing perspective, and 9th most to the rushing portion of fantasy points for the quarterback. Kyler Murray just rushed for over 100 yards, well, exactly 100 yards last week against Seattle. He has 2 rushing touchdowns on the season, 6 passing touchdowns. He is currently the quarterback 7 in fantasy points per game and quarterback 6 in total fantasy points. This is the former first overall pick in the 2019 draft, but one of the struggles Kyler Murray has had this year is throwing the ball deep, and he's missing one of his deep threats, Marquise Brown, who was top 15 or so in deep targets. So he's missing Marquise Brown. We're going to talk about DeAndre Hopkins later on in this podcast, but this is Hopkins' first game back. This may also be Robbie Anderson's first game from the trade from Carolina to Arizona. So I think that there's going to be some lost game plans in this shortened week. There's going to be abbreviated game plans, and I'm concerned that Kyler Murray is not going to be able to overcome some of the game plans that Cliff Kingsbury has for him in this New Orleans against this New Orleans team. The over-under for the game is 44 total points, 23 implied points for the Arizona Cardinals. If I were a bettor, betting on this game, I would take the under on 23 implied points for the Arizona Cardinals. The over-under is 245 passing yards for Kyler. And looking at what he's done so far, he has hit the under 3 of his 6 games. He hit 193 against Kansas City, 207 against Carolina, and 222 this past week against Seattle. So in those games where he threw for under 250 yards, he finishes the quarterback 14. He finishes the quarterback 7 and finishes the quarterback 9. So moving him down below quarterback 5, I think is the right call. Also looking at what Vegas projects for him, if we're using 245 passing yards plus 1.5 passing touchdowns, that gets us to about 16 fantasy points plus another 40-ish on the ground, gets us to 20 or 21 fantasy points. And looking at what that has been for quarterbacks over the past few weeks, that seems to be about the quarterback 6. So I think that that's the nice spot for him.